My name is Richard Watson. I'm Futurist in residence at the Entrepreneurship Centre at the Judge School at Cambridge University. So what is a futurist? Well, in my case, I think, read, write and talk about the future. I'm a big fan of scenario planning, so thinking about multiple futures, multiple possibilities. So that creates a sort of a degree of resilience, I would hope, and potentially agility. The future energy landscape is extremely exciting and I'm incredibly optimistic about it. I mean, this planet is bathed in energy every single day. We're just not terribly imaginative at harvesting it. So kinetic pavements that harvest vibration would be something you can do in a very busy city centre. I like the idea of a sort of internet of energy, a smart energy grid, where the grid actually starts thinking for itself and everything that's connected to it, the appliances start thinking for themselves as well, and they start trading energy. They might decide, well, you know, at the moment we have a big grid that's essentially on or off, and we plug things in when we need power. What might happen in the future is we might have a series of hyper-local grids that have a level of intelligence. I can plug my appliance in and it'll decide for itself that now is not a great time to charge itself, it'll wait. Or my car might start trading with next door's fridge to actually exchange energy. Or my fridge will say that I'm going to charge myself now. If you hang on a bit, I'll send you a micropayment if you can just hang on and charge yourself a bit later. And I think that could be extremely exciting. And also we might be paid for inputs a bit more as well as paying for outputs. I think at the heart of medicine in the future is going to be data and the analysis of that data, more of a shift, I should say, towards prevention. I mean, we're essentially very close to wearing a doctor 24/7. You know, if you've got a smartwatch, you are potentially monitoring various things. And we could have computerized clothing that are monitoring vital signs. Even my shoes, for example, could have computers in that are sending data to spot some kind of potential problem with how I'm walking. I think a big problem going forward is anxiety and mental health. And this was a problem before the pandemic, and the pandemic is just going to make it so many times worse. Although I think the biggest problem we face in the 21st century is going to be isolation and loneliness, which is pretty ironic given that everyone's connected to everybody. But maybe that's the problem. I'm spending a lot of time at the moment looking at AI and particularly whether we get AGI, so moving from narrow to broad artificial intelligence. And we are mapping what Cambridge has done in terms of the development of computing and artificial intelligence, so Babbage, Turing, etc. Jack Good was at Cambridge in the 1930s, worked at with Turing at Bletchley Park. He essentially said that if we get very good at designing an ultra-intelligent machine, that ultra-intelligent machine will then go on to design more ultra-intelligent machines, and you will get an intelligence explosion. I don't lose sleep over this. I don't necessarily see why it would want to get rid of us. So I generally think it's a good thing, but we do need to keep an eye on it, and the ethics surrounding AI are becoming extraordinarily important. You know, we are moving from using AI to block spam and to spell check and for Google Maps to AI making life-changing decisions and, you know, decisions that can result in human death. So we've got to be pretty certain that we're happy about that. I mean, I think the preferred future for AI is digital plus humans. So we work with AI and we let AI do what it's best at, and AI lets us do what we're best at. And I can't remember who said it, but you know, the stuff that we find easy, AI finds really hard, and vice versa. I think the bigger thing that AI is quite bad at, and will remain bad at, is dealing with human beings who, let's face it, are emotional, irrational, and just plain nuts from time to time. So managing people, inspiring people, leading people, I think will remain something that humans get involved with. The most dangerous idea in the world at the moment, in my view, is transhumanism. I don't think there's an agreed definition as to exactly what it is, but broadly it is about the significant extension of human lifespans. So instead of broadly living till 85, 90, people might generally live till they're 130, 140. There is a sort of offshoot of transhumanism, and it's very popular with billionaires in Silicon Valley, and there are at least two I can think of, that are, as they put it, trying to solve the death problem. So live forever. I think that is frightening, quite frankly. First of all, you need renewal, particularly generational renewal. Secondly, what makes life special is the fact that it's short and it's fragile. Steve Jobs, in his commencement speech at Stanford, touched on this. It's an important driving force, death. It moves things forward. And if you remove death, I think you get into a significant scientific sci-fi dystopia quite quickly. A lot of people think of the future as this distant thing that's sort of coming towards them, that there's nothing you can do to influence. You can't predict it, but you can invent it. The future largely depends on what you and I decide to do tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. And we can change. I mean, the future is never set. We might have outlines of it, we might have shadows of it, there might be some broad patterns emerging, but we can always change it. We can always change direction and reset it.